the season, making this weekend at the iconic Misano World Circuit Marco Simoncelli absolutely critical for the championship contenders. Race 1 delivered plenty of drama. Let's hope for more in Race 2. Welcome along to the second race of the weekend in the WCR World Championship here at the Emilia-Romagna Round. The iconic circus hosted the first ever Women's World Championship races back in 2024, and it makes its long-awaited return this weekend. 2 years ago, it was Maria Herrera who did the double, and it was the Spaniard who made it 3 from 3 in Misano in Saturday's Race 1. The number 6 showed her class to fend off a spirited challenge from her chief title rival Beatriz Neila in the closing stages to hang on for a 4th win of the campaign. Behind them, a chaotic podium fight unfolded on Saturday. Pole sitter Paul Ramos and wildcard Josephine Bruno went down together in a collision to spoil their chances, while Roberta Ponziani's impressive ride unfortunately came to an end in the turn 1 gravel trap as she rode at a very hot pace. That made it a 5-way fight for bronze in the closing stages, with Chloe Jones getting onto the podium, but only after a post-race penalty was given to Gladys Sauter-Petch for overtaking under yellow flags. It is all teed up to be another cracking battle between the 3 standout stars of the 2026 WCR field. Here to talk you through this one is myself, Chris Jordan, and joining me as always is Steve English. Steve, at the front of the grid today after her disappointment in Race 1 is Roberta Ponziani, by courtesy of her fastest lap of 1:47.564. However, she has got some very good company on the front row in the form of Neila and Herrera.
Yeah, we were able to see Ponziani ride really well in yesterday's race before having the crash. Just on that limit, and very easy to have a moment like she had into turn 1. And unfortunate for her, but the speed's there this weekend, and she was willing to put it all on the line to have another home win. So it's one of those races where mistakes are possible.
Yeah, Beatriz Neila then going from P2. She will be hopeful of getting that second victory this campaign to really bite back into the advantage that Herrera has now built up over her in the title chase. 19 points separate Neila and Herrera. Beatriz Neila will need a good start to try and get ahead of the number 6. And here is the number 6, Maria Herrera, taking her 4th win yesterday, her 4th consecutive Race 1 victory in 2026. She hasn't been off the podium this year, her worst result being a P3 in Race 2 in Balaton Park, and it was a very classy ride from the reigning champion yesterday to deny Neila any opportunity to get in front, particularly on that last corner, showing why she is the reigning world champion. Now, number 80, Josephine Bruno, the 18-year-old, a wild card this weekend, making her debut this weekend. 1 star. She crashed out, but has been super impressive throughout the weekend, it has to be said. Placing onto the front rows yesterday. She does have that long lap penalty. She placed onto the front rows yesterday. Went with Paul Ramos in that battle for P3 for the 3rd place trophy here in Race 1, but the Italian unfortunately was at fault for a crash that wiped out both Bruno and Paul Ramos. Paul Ramos here, our pole sitter from yesterday, going off from P5 today. Ramos, we were expecting bigger things from her yesterday, Steve, but unfortunately she just didn't seem to have the pace.
Yeah, for what we were able to see in yesterday's race, it just was a little bit more of a struggle for her than I think we would have expected. Then obviously she's unlucky with the crash with Bruno. She would have been able to come away with a very comfortable podium position if not for that. So certainly for Ramos, not where she needs to be compared to Neila and Herrera at the very front, but otherwise exactly where she should be, which is in that 3rd position, and come away with those podiums. But that mistake from Bruno ended up costing Ramos dearly.
Yeah, Ramos looking to be coming out here with a little bit of indication for her performance yesterday. Wasn't as quick as we were expecting her to be. Gladys Sauter-Petch had a pretty interesting day in Race 1. Was part of that 3rd group, initially dropped off the pace of the lead riders, the single entry rider who we've seen at most rounds so far this year. But she crossed the line in 3rd position, but unfortunately for Sauter-Petch, she was judged to have overtaken under yellow flags after that Ponziani crash, and she was handed a post-race penalty of 3 seconds. Ivone Serpa then going from the head of the 3rd row. She's coming off the back of her best ever result, the rookie P4 yesterday, her best result. So the number 11 will be looking to build on that. Just a couple of minutes now until we get underway for the warm-up lap, and great to see plenty of fans here in attendance in the sun-drenched Misano, and what a weekend this is turning out to be in Misano. Great weather, great racing, and one of the people doing some great racing is Carolina Danak. She was at the forefront of that larger group battle for that P3 position yesterday, but unfortunately Paul had to drop a couple of positions, ended up being in P5, qualifying 6th as well. Chloe Jones was the person to come out on top of that battle due to Sarah Puech's penalty after the race. She was given after the second penalty. Jones crossed the line in 4th, and Chloe Jones got her first podium of the season on a season that she has struggled somewhat compared to the height she hit in 2025. 2026 has been a little bit more difficult. Your grid then for the Women's Circuit Racing World Championship Race 2 at 2026 Pirelli Emilia Romagna Round sees Roberta Ponziani lead us away at lights out for the second time this season. Nela and Herrera set to go wheel to wheel once again, while race 1 pole sitter Paul Ramos has to go from 5th, an equal worth grid position in her 9th race in the class. Wildcard Bruno and single entry rider Sarah Puech are either side of her, Bruno serving that long lap penalty. Sterpa, Danak and Jones are on row 3. Justine Pedemont steps in for the injured Lucy Budasal, and she starts 10th, while substitute Brazilian rider Gabriele Luis rounds out the grid. We're just about ready to go then for the warm-up lap here ahead of race 2, and should again be another exciting entry into the 2026 chapters of the campaign in WCR. Steve, plenty of key points in Misano here. Where can the riders really find a difference?
Yeah, the big place is what we've been able to see from Herrera and Nela is they've just got that little bit more speed, particularly in the first sector. Through these corners that lead one into the next, they've got a bit of a margin over the rest of the field. That's where it becomes important for Pau Ramos from the second row of the grid to be able to go with them from the start on the number 58, and then basically that keeps you out of trouble because it'll take you away from the rest of the pack. We saw yesterday that Joe Bruno on the number 80 machine, she hit into the back of Ramos, ended both of their races. That ended up having big consequences at the end of the race as well, with that penalty for Sarah Puech. But certainly it's about just trying to get through the opening laps, and then you're able to really build into it. 12 laps of action here for the WCR, so hopefully we're able to see a couple of more riders at the front of the field able to challenge Herrera and Nela.
Yeah, the championship standings at the moment see Maria Herrera leading the way by 19 points over Nela. You said there were consequences, of course, of the crashes for Ramos and Ponziani. They remain in 3rd and 4th respectively. Ramos 70 points off the top, Ponziani 80 points off the top, so 10 points between them in the battle for the bronze medal. Sarah Puech has managed to close up that gap somewhat, but still has 19 points to make up on Ramos over the closing round, with Chloe Jones, Rivera, Luis Budsal and Serpa rounding out the top 10. You can see then pristine conditions to go racing here in Misano. Steve, just before we get underway, as always, I'll ask you for your prediction.
Yeah, ideal conditions for the riders now at this stage, and 12 laps. We saw Nela just narrowly beaten yesterday by Herrera. She'll want to make sure that she's able to pick off the number 6 at some stage during this race, and she needs to as well. There's 19 points between them in the championship. We know that Herrera has been really consistent this year, won a lot of races, whereas for Nela it's been about having all those podiums all the way through the year and last year as well. And I think that that's the key thing now for Nela. She knows that she has to start winning races.
Yeah, confirmation then of the pressure Nela is under, with only a couple of rounds remaining, and this race for Beatriz Nela, she needs to start taking advantage of the opportunities that are handed to her. 19 points behind Herrera, as we already mentioned. Can she do it today? She does have the slight grid advantage, but Maria Herrera, we saw it yesterday as well, she got the whole shot out of that first corner despite not starting from P1. So we're just about ready to go here. The red flag remains in front of the riders as the Subaru safety cars pull around the back of the grid. Green flag waving then as the red flag disappears. The lights are on the screen, eyes are now firmly on the lights, and we are racing here in Misano, and a big bobble off the line from Maria Herrera. It's a really good start from Ponziani, but we saw We said that number 6, Maria Herrera, got the whole shot yesterday. She won today after that big bobble, but she is P2, and look at that. She's straight in to P1 coming around the second corner. Brilliant composure from Herrera after what looked like an early mistake.
Yeah, Maria doesn't have to wait long to get back to the front. Ponziani trying to attack back in towards turn 4, but Herrera wise to that move as Nela takes the inside line just to keep Pau Ramos behind her. But top 4 riders get away from the start. We'll see if Ponziani has the early pace to go with Herrera and Nela.
So it is Herrera over Ponziani, with Nela just slotting in behind the number 96, but she's keen to attack early here to try and get onto the coattails of the number 6 Herrera, her title rider. Look at that from Pau Ramos, diving up the inside. It looked like she was going to make that move stick for a moment on Ponziani, but she still has to settle for being in 4th position. Yvonne Serpa is running in 6th ahead of Bruno, Rivera, Jones and Danak, the rest of your top 10.
Oh, crashing back with his tail of Ralph down at turn 8. It was Ralph down there, so no points today for Ralph, but at the front you can see that the top 3 just started to edge their way away from each other, and certainly for Pau Ramos, you don't want to lose that contact with your teammate Ponziani.
Yeah, confirmation then that it is Ralph going down at turn 8 corner. So back out front, it's Herrera leading the way over Nela. We've said that once or twice, but not for long, because Herrera, sorry, excuse me, I've got mixed up between them, but it's Herrera who makes that move up the inside of Nela. Nela temporarily had the lead above the ahead of the reigning champion, but the reigning champion shows just why she is the champion and jumps back ahead. Beatriz Nela then looking for the next opportunity to attack as we're about to clock off the opening lap here in race 2 in Misano.
Yeah, at this stage of the race in WCR, it's not about who's leading, it's about who's dropping out of the group. And at that front, we've got 5 riders there, all staying closely matched. But Pau Ramos in a little bit hot into turn 1, loses momentum. Sarah Puig is going to have a chance to make a run on her now.
So Sarah Puig is at the back of this group. Yvonne Serpa at the head of the other group, still on the coattails of the number 12. Sarah Puig in the pink helmet at number 11. That's Yvonne Serpa, and Josephine Bruno, who we said keep an eye on throughout the weekend. The wildcard rider looks just to not have the pace in the early stages. She was in the 156s last time around. Everyone ahead of her in the 155s, with the exception of Maria Herrera, who's in the 154. So Herrera on a hot pace, nice and early. The incident at turn 8 is currently under investigation, so maybe Ralph had a little bit of a helping hand going down on that opening lap. We'll come back to that one when we know more ourselves. But look at this, Maria Herrera's leading away. Jenny looks to have stood up just a little bit there, coming around turn 10, Tremonto. So, as you were, no major moves just yet, and as you rightly point out, Steve, it's about maintaining the pace and going with the group, and one rider doing that is Yvonne Serpa. She's doing really well in the opening stages to hang on to Sarah Puig.
She's done well this season, and she's been able to really adapt well as a rookie on that number 11 machine. Pau Ramos, they're able to get down the inside of her teammate Ponziani. We'll see if Ponziani's going to try and come back at her down into 14. And the last thing they need to do is fight with each other and cost each other time and momentum, because Maria Herrera is trying to break the field now.
Yeah, Herrera's got a couple tenths in her back pocket, 3 tenths in fact, in her back pocket over Nela, and has opened up the gap, and that's how Ramos was just locked up the front, and that's a big mistake from Ramos. Let's see how much time that's going to cost her, because she's gone out wide, and you can see the frustration down in the Clint team there. Ramos is having a really difficult weekend from one that promised much. She has dropped now down into 12th position, Pau Ramos behind the substitute rider Pedamonte, so she'll be looking to make as much ground as possible coming through here, because that lead group is starting to open up. You can see it there at the top of your pictures. Herrera has an advantage over Nela, and Nela now has an advantage over Ponziani. About 6 tenths each gap between those top 3 riders.
Yeah, and once that group starts to splinter, it's very difficult for it to come back to you as well. You can see here Natalia Rivera on the number 20 machine back up inside the top 10 in 8th position. She's been very consistent this season, just getting herself up into around about that 8th position mark. So Rivera on the 20 doing what she needs to do.
So Herrera in the 147s last time around, still the only rider to enter the 147s in the early stages of this race here, and she is building up a sizable advantage. Here comes Josephine Bruno now for her long lap penalty. This is for her crimes in race 1 when she went down and took out Pau Ramos with her. So that is served without any problems, and Josephine Bruno. She entered in 6th position, and she's now going to drop down the order to about 12th or 13th. I think she's rejoined in between Paquita Ruiz and Peramont, so she is now in 12th position. Back out front though, it's Maria Herrera still holding about 6/10 advantage over Beatriz Nela. The gap between Nela and Ponziani remains at about 7/10 as well. You saw there on the screens that Ponziani had managed to just take out a 10th or so of that gap.
And you can see here just down in towards 14. This was Ramos coming through on her teammate Ponziani, and Ponziani coming through and Ramos then down in towards the last corner. You can see that just that big moment then for Ramos, just grabs that endo then on the way into the corner, and you just lose that momentum. And sometimes with these bikes it's easy to miss a back shift, and then you end up having to grab more brake to try and get it stopped, and you don't get the engine braking into the corner. That might be a little bit of a factor there for Ramos.
Yeah, clear frustrations down in the Clint team. Big head shake after Ramos's error coming through there, but there is still plenty of positives so far in this race. Roberto Ponziani running MP3 of Serpa, and Sara Puech trying to close the gap, as is Chloe Jones, but she's got about a second, as you can see there, and a good few bike lengths to the chasing pack. Plenty of racing to go still here, so it can all change, but we don't expect it to change too much in the top 2 positions between Maria Herrera and Beatriz Nela.
Yeah, not going to change in terms of who's up there, but Nela's put the pressure on. She was a quarter second faster last time round. She's had a red sector in sector 1 and sector 2, so on course for a new fastest lap of the race. She's applying the pressure as best she can to Herrera, but we saw that right down to the wire yesterday, Herrera had the number then of Beatriz Nela, so Nela's going to try and catch her by surprise.
The gap has come down even further there. You look at the timing towers on your left-hand side, it's 3/10 of a second now. And it's just gone out to 4/10 again, but Nela has eaten into the lead somewhat on this lap. Ponziani still a good bit further away. Last time around, Nela was actually in the 147s as well, with Herrera dropping into the 148. So that's where the time was met. Let's see what the times are like when they come over the line again. Herrera and Nela just about to come over the line. The timings show that Herrera is in the 148 flats, as is Beatriz Nela, with the likes of Ponziani, Serpa in the 149s. It has to be said though, Sara Puech has taken about 6/10 of a second out of Ponziani's advantage. So Sara Puech crossed the line in 3rd position.
Ponziani just doesn't have the pace she had yesterday, and that's a big factor for her. That's why she's going to be very vulnerable now to Sherpa and Serapu.
Yeah, Sara Puech crossed the line in 3rd position, I was going to say yesterday, but denied by that post-race penalty, which saw her demoted down the standings, and she ended up in 7th position despite thinking she had taken her first podium in the class. Now she is out for a little bit of revenge and redemption. She's running in 5th position. Serpa is also there as well. Ponziani is in that 149.2, so the riders behind her all a good bit quicker than Ponziani. So as you rightly point out, Steve, that Ponziani just doesn't have the pace at the moment. Looking back at the battle out front, and it looks like Beatriz Nela has closed that gap somewhat to Maria Herrera once again on this lap. 3/10 of a second or so between them, so only marginally closed the gap.
Yeah, Nela's really good in the first half of the lap, and then this part of the track is where Herrera finds a little bit of a step on her bike, only a 10th of a second here and there, but wouldn't be surprised if maybe they've just got slightly different settings on the bikes, maybe different gearing or something like that, but usually the riders at the front tend to be running pretty similar to one another, but Herrera still able to hold off Beatriz Nela.
Yeah, the graphic just proving your point there, Steve, as well, that Nela is on top in those opening sectors, but Herrera does have something in response in sector 3. Let's see how it goes through sector 4. Coming around the final corner once again as we're ready to clock off another lap. Beatriz Nela looks to have lost a little bit of ground there. Well, only marginally according to the timing screen, but the eye test doesn't lie as well. She seemed to lose a bike length or so. Ramos still on the charts then. She rejoined after her mistake in 12th position. She's now up to 7th.
Yeah, and ahead of Chloe Jones. Chloe, one of 2 riders that's going to get a double long lap penalty as well, just for that jump start. So she's going to have to start taking that penalty over the next couple of laps and drop a bit further down the order. But Ramos recovering well up into P6. She's got the chance of a podium, and she needs to make sure she can ride through this group and get the podium finish. Her teammate Ponziani on the podium, still down in the 49.1, so a second and a half slower than she went in yesterday's race, where a lot of the other riders are able to find something from race 1 into race 2.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the timing screens here, and you're right. Ramos is almost a second quicker or so than Ponziani, so plenty of time for Ramos to get herself back into the podium fight here and maybe drag a rider or two along with her. That's a wider line there from Ponziani, and that's the 15 of Chloe Jones coming in there. Just get the feet a little bit loose on entry into the long lap penalty loop. Maria Herrera then still leading over Beatriz Nela. The gap is down to about 0.2 of a second this time around, but let's see what Herrera has in the final sector. Ponziani coming under a little bit of pressure there from Ivone Serpa, while Sarapuech is now under pressure from Ramos, and not too much pressure because Ramos has just glided by.
Yeah, just pushes her out of the way there, like you have to do through that part of the track, and good clean riding from the 58 to make that progress, and Sarapuech able to understand that you just got to give up that position as well, and she needs to go with Ramos now to take her up towards the riders in front of them, and then there's still the opportunity to be able to fight right to the end of this race. We're only just about starting the second half of the race now.
Yeah, just looking at timing screens after that lap has been clocked off, and Herrera and Nela match each other in lap times, while the quickest of this group last time around was actually, it was Pau Ramos. What a surprise, a 148.3, but Serpa set her best lap of the race so far with a 148.6, the other riders in the 149. So Ramos clearly the quickest rider here, and you would imagine it's only a matter of time before she makes a move on Serpa and then Ponziani, as long as she maintains and keeps it upright.
Yeah, just a little bit further back as well. Sarah Sanchez back in action this weekend on the number 64 machine up there in P7, and Sanchez was around about 3/4 of a second faster than the group in front of her last time around, because they're starting to fight with each other. See here for Beatriz Nela, they're just keeping that watch and brief with Herrera. Doesn't want to show her cards at this stage.
Staying in contact at all times, Maria Herrera just has a little look over the left shoulder. What I do have to say is Herrera had a 6/10 advantage in the earlier stages of this race, and Nela has been just chipping away at it ever so slightly on every lap. Not huge gains at any one time, but just slowly chipping away at it and still remaining on the coattails of the reigning world champion. So you would imagine Nela, there's got to be a feeling that she needs to win this race if she is to reel in Herrera, and this is brilliant stuff. So Serpa got herself in front of Ponziani, but Ponziani then responding, and now Pau Ramos is very much involved in this battle. So coming around the final corner now for this group of riders, will we see a move from Serpa or Ramos on Ponziani down into turn 1? They've gotten into the slipstream of the Italian. Keep an eye on the number 11 in that pink helmet. She's already tried a move, but Ponziani had a response. She's going to try a move again, but just not close enough to make anything stick. Pau Ramos is still very much in this battle. What is Pau Ramos going to do? We've seen her hang it on the outside a couple of times before in the past. It looked like she was taking a wider line to get the inside line coming through turn 2 there, but nothing going on this occasion. You'd imagine down into turn 8 will be the next best opportunity.
Yeah, podiums we had for Sherpa after finishing 4th in yesterday's race. She's had some good outings this season, right back to the start of the year in Portimao, where she was in that second group in the top 6. So this is her chance to get a podium, but she needs to come through in Ponziani, because Ramos is going to be the fastest rider in this group.
4 abreast they go. Sarapuech just looks a little bit out of shape there, but no overtakes on this moment yet coming through turn 8. What about 9, 10, and then the fast right-hander Curvone? Will we see anything going there? Pau Ramos looks at the outside line there on Ivone Serpa, while Sarapuech tries to move up the inside of Pau Ramos, and Sarapuech, the fly rider, gets it done on Pau Ramos, so we weren't expecting that one just yet.
Sanchez is joining the group now as well, right behind with Carolina Danek as well, so we're going to have a 6-rider fight for that podium position.
I'm all for it, Steve. Carolina Danek provided some great entertainment in yesterday's podium battle, so if we see the pole involved again, I'm sure we'll be on the edge of our seats. Currently a 4-rider battle. Let's see how it develops over the next couple of laps. There you go. Sarapuech has gotten herself ahead of Ivone Serpa. Looked like she was trying to move up the inside of Ponziani there, but nothing going through 14. Couple of left-handers coming up now. Will we see a move on the final corner?
Yeah, Sarapuech able to make the move in through the fast corners at the end of the lap, and then Ponziani tried to attack back into 14, but into the end of the lap, then still Sarapuech out in front. Look at the back of the group though, Sarah Sanchez on that number 64 bike. Good to see Sarah back fighting in the league group as well. A couple of years ago she was one of the standout riders in WCR.
Ponziani was going to try something up the inside of turn 2 there, but ended up getting stood up because Sarapwech closed the door shut on her there. So Sarapwech holding on to P3. The number 11 is Sarapwech going a little bit wider on that line there and on the entry through 4 and into 5, but nothing quite going yet. Pau Ramos has been shuffled back to 4th position. We saw Pau Ramos had by far and away the best pace of this lead group, but she's gotten caught up in this battle now.
Yeah, once you're in the group, it's very difficult to be able to break away from them. You can see the importance that the slipstream has, and then trying to make moves down into turn 8.
Here we go, Ivone Serpa. She's moved up in front of Roberta Ponziani. So Serpa can seem to keep it pinned though. Not quite. Ponziani gets it on the cutback and responds going through. Pau Ramos still in 4th position. Sarapwech opens up a tiny little gap ahead of Ponziani after the battle between Ponziani and Serpa. And just as I say, she'd opened up a little bit of a gap. She's gotten it wrong going through there and opened the door for Ponziani to go through.
Once again, Herrera under that pressure from Beatrice Nela, but neither of them really riding too hard at this stage. They just want to wait until that last lap.
Here we go, Pau Ramos up the inside as that and going. She remains in 4th position. Sarapwech has taken position back from Ponziani. Serpa doing well to remain there. Ramos a little bit wider, coming through the corners there as well in this final sector, and that has opened her up to attack from Sara Sanchez, and Sanchez has gladly bowled by that and gone through.
Yeah, good move from her. And Natalia Rivera's joined the group now as well on the number 20 machine. Rivera so often in that 6th, 7th, 8th position. She's got a chance of the podium here as well, and I think that it's about being able to make the moves quickly and assertively to try and make your progress. That's what Sara Sanchez is doing. Rivera needs to follow her.
A 10th of a second then, and less than a 10th of a second between Herrera and Nela coming over the line that time, but Herrera's managed to open up a little gap ever so slightly. But this lead battle, it's as you were for the last few laps. However, the podium battle continues to build and build. Ponziani doing really well here to deny the advances of Sarapwech Serpa. Pau Ramos has been fallen victim to the larger group here. She had an amazing pace, but now she is all the way back in P8. Beatriz Nela, is she going to try to move up the inside for the lead here? Not quite going to make anything stick there. What about through 9 and 10? Can she get herself set up on the exit first up and attack into the final sector?
Yeah, ultimately for Herrera, if she gets overtaken, it's because she's letting the rider through at this stage. She wants to be able to try and see what Nela has, and Nela, if she's able to stay behind her, you don't want to show any cards to Maria, and I think that that's why you're going to see them relatively close to each other. But whether you want to make that move, you only come through from making them break away. Nela's not able to break away from Herrera.
Nela does have that little luck up the inside, but nothing going at the final corners of this lap just yet. Ignore double long lap penalty, right through penalty, coming the way of Badali, and she's riding down in P18 at the moment, so that will confirm that she won't come home with any points. So focusing on the lead here, it is Herrera still holding the advantage over Beatriz Nela, as it has been since the start of this race. Really, Nela has made 1 or 2 attempts of an attack but has made nothing stick. 2 laps to go. Nela really needs something to happen.
Well, she just needs to wait until the last lap unless you want to try and force an issue, and she's tried to make the move there, but Herrera able to resist, and it's just going to come down to the last lap. And ultimately for Nela, are you able to get in front of Herrera and try and break away by a few back lengths? You can't imagine that she is able to break away at this stage with so little left of the race. So for Nela, it's about trying to understand where in the last lap can you come through.
Yeah, this could be some more last corner fireworks between these two. We've seen it plenty of times in the recent rounds. Remember Acid, both of them taking a win each there after a last lap duel. And so Nela will be looking to make the best opportunity here, to find the best opportunity. A lap and a half remaining. She really needs to win here.
Yeah, the last lap is going to be down to whether or not Nela really believes that she can win the World Championship. If she does, she knows she has to win the race. It's not good enough to finish second anymore. The clock ticks down too quickly at the end of the season. And with only 4 races left after this, if you want to win the championship, you've got to beat your rival right now.
4 races remaining after this. Just if Herrera does actually beat Nela here, then the title will be out of Nela's hands, and she will need something to happen to Maria Herrera. Nela has gotten herself in front. She's gotten herself in front, but turn 14, you see it there, Maria Herrera has just rolled her way through once again. So is that Nela just doing a little bit of a practice effort before the final lap?
Yeah, and you can see down in towards the last corner again, just trying to get that understanding of what you're able to do through there. But the last lap, she'll know through the fast right that she'll have an opportunity to close up on Herrera. This is also where the lap times are coming in right now. A 49.0, it's second and a bit, 1.2 seconds slower than the fast lap of the race, so it shows just how little that Herrera is pushing at the front. She's not giving Naila the opportunity to know what her full pace is.
We've got yellow flags out. Who's gone down?
Emily Bondi that's
Emily
gone
Bondi
down.
has
That
gone
could be
down.
a red flag as well with that bike in the middle of the track. Naila needs to attack right now. She doesn't know that there's a bike left in the middle of the track at the last corner.
Yeah, I thought it was part of that podium group that we had a rider down initially, but no, it's Emily Bondi who's gone down. So Maria Herrera leading the way here. About half a lap remaining in race 2 at the Emilia-Romagna round in the WCR World Championship. Naila has had a few bites of the cherry already, but Herrera has had a response on every occasion. Naila will probably need to get it done as soon as possible. We have a bike on track. Let's hope the stewards and the marshals, I should say, can clear that, because we're coming around turn 10 now at Tremonto, Curvone, and then Caro, the final couple of corners and the final sector where Naila has a chance.
Yeah, we haven't seen the reds come out yet, so that bike must be getting cleared away, and that hopefully means that at the last corner we're going to have it where you can go right down to the wire.
Yeah, we hope there's no yellow flag staying out at that final corner either. So Beatriz Naila lining up the move on the inside, coming through Curvone, but nothing going for her there. Turn 14, is there an opportunity? We saw her try it already. She's going to die on the wider line here.
Herrera goes tight and defensive. The yellow flags are in at the last corner, so one last chance for Beatriz Naila.
It's all on this for Beatriz Naila. Can she make it happen? Coming through the final corner, she's got her nose in front on the wider line. She's going to get the drive on the exit here. Will she make it on the drag to the line? I don't think so. It's going to be Maria Herrera surely to make it 24 points advantage. Naila giving her everything, but it is Herrera who takes the win. 24-point advantage in the title race. Beatriz Naila settles for second. What about the battle for the final podium place? Ponziani pulls out of Serapet's slipstream, but it is Serapet who gets a bit of redemption from race 1, and she will be on the podium this time around. Ponziani misses out. Pau Ramos in 5th. Ivone Sherpa, Sanchez, Rivera, Bruno and Jones taking top 10s. Carolina Denac brought out the late yellow flags. That was around that'll be a fast crash at Curvone.
Yeah, you can see just hobbled in that one for Carolina, but yeah, she's at the back of the group and probably tags the back of someone maybe through there, and that's what caused that crash. But Sarah Puig able to take that first career podium in WCR, and she's been really good this year. Very well earned to be up on the rostrum, and for Sarah Puig, 5th in the championship standings and closing up on Ramos and Ponziani in front of her as well. We've obviously only got 2 rounds left. Donington in around about 4 weeks' time, and then Herret in October. So there's a big wait between round 5 and round 6 with these WCR riders, but they'll be gearing up for Donington in that penultimate round next. And for Sarah Puig, she'll be trying to add to her podium count.
Yeah, Herrera can get the title wrapped up in Donington if things fall her way, but you would imagine the likes of Naila, with the way Naila hasn't been off the podium since 2024 in Estoril, you would imagine she will be thereabouts to at least make it go down to the final weekend in Jerez. But what is important, with 4 races remaining, Naila's gap is now 24 points to make up on Herrera. So if Herrera finished P2 theoretically in every race, she will still win the title, even if Naila wins every race. So it's another podium though for Naila. She didn't get that move in late on. We saw her try a move at turn 14 on the penultimate lap, but Herrera just seemed to have something in response. Riding defensively then on the final lap was the reigning champion. Naila tried a different line through the final corners as well, but just couldn't find anything as they went on the drag race to the line, and Herrera held on for yet another victory. In fact, that's Maria Herrera's first double this year as well.
Yeah, and for Herrera, she rode so well on that last lap and dropped her pace down into the 48s to try and make sure that she was able to hold Naila behind her. And Beatriz tried to do it a little bit different to yesterday's race, but Herrera was able to hold her off one way or the other. And it's, again, another really good ride from Beatriz, but one win out of the first 4 rounds. That's why it's so difficult to put up a championship challenge up against Herrera when Maria is so consistent and able to win those races. So for Beatriz Naila, the last 2 rounds of the year, she's going to go back to the drawing board, because now she needs to make sure she's able to get those big points for 25 for a win.
Yeah, big result then for Maria Herrera. Beatriz Nela just wondering, we're seeing it a lot already in the Superbike paddock, that someone keeps finishing in P2 and they just must be wondering, how can I finally get past the championship leader? Well, they're the championship leader for a reason. Maria Herrera, 24 points ahead, as we mentioned. Pau Ramos actually has moved up into third position. A bit of a recovery ride from Pau Ramos. P5, not what Pau would have been expecting after her Superpole performance, but it is big points on the board as she moves into the bronze medal position in the championship standings. Ponziani slipping to fourth position. But what about this? The first podium for a Thai rider in the Women's World Championship, and superb. It's a good story, Muklada Sarapwech, turning up on single entry rides, and that has been very impressive, and she's finally gotten that podium. Really good stuff from the Thai rider.
Yeah, she's been super impressive this season, and you always want to see riders come in and make that impression. Ramos has done that, Sarapwech has done that, Serpa has done that this year as well. There's 3 riders up inside the top 6 in this race, and they're all in as rookies. And I think for Sarapwech to get that podium, so important for her just to have that bit of momentum. But she's been up inside the top 5 so often this year. She's earned that podium.
Big congratulations down in Parc Ferme for Maria Herrera, as we just took a little listen in there. Brava, brava, congratulations, they say. So a superb performance from Herrera. We'll hear from her very shortly. A confirmation then of our final results at the bottom of our screens. Ivone Serpa, another impressive ride from the Spanish rookie, but just dropped back down the order a little bit after her P4 yesterday. She couldn't go one better. Beatriz Nela just debriefing her team as well.
Yeah, it just looks like she's saying that she was struggling a little bit with the brake at the end. I think that was also the problem for Ramos. Every time we saw her, it seemed that she was struggling a little bit to get that bike stopped, and obviously the high temperatures here today probably making that a little bit more of an issue.
Final congratulations. Championship standings at the bottom of your screen, by the way. I'm sure as you see Maria Herrera leading the way by 24 points. Nela in second position over Ramos. That's the big mover of the day. Ramos moving into that P3 position, bouncing back somewhat from her DNF yesterday to move ahead of teammate Ponziani. Sarapwech in fifth position, Jones, Rivera, Ruiz, Serpa, Bulsal, all inside the top 10. So, another exciting installment of the 2026 WCR World Championship. A first-time podium finisher as well, as Herrera and Nela took victory and the runner-up position. But the first-time podium finisher, and the first podium for Thailand in the WCR, it's Muklada Sarapwech. Let's hear what she has to say.
Muklada, congratulations for your first ever podium in the World Championship. Tell us, how do you feel right now?
Oh, I don't know to say thank you for the Thai fan. Thank you all family. But yesterday, I'm not lucky. But today, I'm lucky. But super happy. But thank you from everybody for supporting me. Thank you, Mr. Bob. Thank you for the Thai fan. Yeah, I would like to say thank you so much.
Enjoy it. Congratulations.
Yesterday not so lucky, today very lucky. I think there was a little bit more than luck involved.
Yeah, I think certainly for Sarapwech, she's earned that podium, and nice to see that emotion come out. Obviously, first time in a World Championship podium, and the struggles that it takes to get to that point for all riders is a different path. And for Sarapwech, she's had to come through the Asia Pacific route, and she's just jumped into the deep end here in the WCR and has immediately been right at the sharp end. So that's a well-earned podium.
Yeah, very well-earned podium, as it was once again for Beatriz Nela. That's yet another podium for the young Spaniard. She threw everything at Maria Herrera, but in the end, it's another P2. Let's hear what she has to say.
Beatriz, second position, so close from Maria. Not the result you wanted, but the championship is not decided yet.
Yeah, there is like yesterday was a battle of two. I'm happy because I was until the end, so yeah, I would like to thanks to my team, because this weekend we did a super nice work, so yeah, this victory is for my team. Yeah, for sure, I'm happy. I'm going to keep working and pushing until the end. The championship is still open, so I'm happy.
Well done, Bea. Gracias.
Beatriz refusing to give up on the championship, as of course she shouldn't, because she's still very much in with a shout. She now needs to start winning, though. Particularly first up will be Donington. She needs to win there.
Yeah, obviously it's now or never really for her championship challenge. And when we come back at Donington, she probably needs to rely a little bit on luck falling her way. But we've seen it in the past already from Maria Herrera. She's made mistakes whenever it's come down to that final round of the year to try and get across the line to win a championship. Nayla just needs to make sure she's constantly able to apply that pressure.
Yeah, Nayla will continue to apply the pressure, but it is the first double of the year for the reigning world champion, Maria Herrera. Let's hear her thoughts.
Maria, double win and an amazing weekend for you here in Misano. Important step thinking on the championship.
I can imagine, because it's the house of my team. It's a very, very emotional race for me, but I give my best, the team also, so very happy. A strong race, a hard race, because the condition was hard, and I had to dedicate this victory to Flor. It's at home, and thank you to my support. Come on.
Well done, Maria, thank you.
Maria clearly delighted with that one, and why not? Because again, it was another masterful performance, as she says, at the home of her team here. Two big races, and I think less than 2/10 of a second between her and Nayla across the two races. So Nayla was applying the pressure throughout, but Maria Herrera showing her class and showing her joy there as well.
Yeah, really important for Maria to be able to pick up this race win, and we saw that there were a few times whenever Nayla put herself in position to be able to attack, and Herrera just had an answer each time.
Their confirmation on screen is the first double win actually since Misano. Back in 2024, Misano hosted the opening pair of races in the WCR Championship in 2024. The best lap award, just confirmation on the bottom of the screen there. Beatriz Nayla leading that one. Herrera and Pau Ramos with 2 each, and Roberta Panziani with 1. So we'll have the podium ceremony coming up very shortly. Plenty of talking points remaining, of course, from that race. So Herrera strikes yet another dagger in the heart of Nayla's championship ambitions, with Sarquet delivering Thailand their first podium. Panziani and Ramos must be kicking themselves. They had big podium hopes this weekend, but nothing going for them, while Ivan Serpas, Ada Sanchez and Natalia Rivera showing some brilliant riding and brilliant battling to pick up some strong top 10 results. Just on the point of Pau Ramos, as we watch the guys coming on to the podium, Pau Ramos will be watching on this one as well, and there just must surely be a big sense of frustration, because it was a weekend that promised a lot.
Yeah, but it was also where she was very unlucky yesterday. She doesn't make a mistake in yesterday's race, she gets taken out by someone else. There's not an awful lot you can do about that. This afternoon's race, or this morning's race, that's where she'll have to look at it and see what caused a few of her problems. Was it a braking issue? Was it something that she was doing on the bike? And then you just need to be able to learn from it. Ultimately, though, you're still coming away with the top 5. She wants to be on the podium, but the goal has to be to finish the year 3rd in the World Championship. She's still on course for that.
Yeah, she holds the advantage over Panziani by 10 points in the bronze medal position for the FIM Awards at the end of the season. So the trophies here are being handed out in Misano. It's another P2 for Beatriz Nayla. That's her 4th consecutive P2 and 5th of the season. She hasn't been off the podium, though, in 2026 nor in 2025, as we've already mentioned. 2024, the last time she missed out on the podium. Maria Herrera, though, completes the double here in Misano. And here will be the Spanish national anthem. well as the Spanish national anthem, La Marcha Real. 2 of our top 3 will enjoy that one, of course. But worth mentioning again that we have a Thai rider on the podium here in the WCR moment that Muklada Sarakwech and all her Thai fans will never forget. Big moment for the nation in terms of the WCR. Cheers all around.